South Georgia. Happy first official day of summer as well. I'm Riley Armant. The first official day of summer means the heat is probably on, but it also means clear skies this morning, I think. Let's go ahead and take a live look off our first view 10 cam in Albany this morning. Clear skies, like I said, but the question is, will that summer heat kick in immediately? I want to know. I'm sure you do too. Let's find out with First Alert meteorologist Tommy Owens. Tommy, I was about to call you the wrong name, but let's get the right forecast.
Hometown news source. This is breaking news.
So here's what we know so far. As of right now, the cause of the fire and who may be responsible for this are both unknown. Albany Fire Department officials could not release any details just yet, but we are monitoring this incident and we'll update you both on air and online.
And we will have lighter news for you later on in the show. But with that,
Tommy, can you make sense of the confetti we just looked at on the screen there? We begin this half hour in Lowndes County. Commercial property owners are calling recent reassessments a historic failure. Some properties are now tripling in value. In Berrien County, parents and students are getting some good news, great news actually, after the school board announced that free lunches will be provided this upcoming school year. And the Perry Police Department is cracking down on businesses that are illegally selling tobacco products to people who are underage. This comes after the recent discovery of several businesses selling those products to minors. At least 100 people showed up for this tour to address the problems that the east and the south sides of Albany face. Residents also came to share what they think needs to be done. This became the Dougherty County Judicial Building. This site held one of the first slave auctions in South Georgia, ripping black families apart. Even though this was the beginning of separation in the black family, love has a way of bringing people back together. It's been 60 years since Martin Luther King Jr. marched alongside thousands of black Americans and allies to gather at the Washington Monument. Be thinking, how can I help someone who's struggling with depression and the loss of a loved one during the holidays? Well, one simple way you can start is by communicating with that person. What's your favorite fair ride?
Fair ride?
Yeah, like, do you like the Ferris wheel? Or do you like the spaceship ride?
Basically all of them.
All of them. Awesome. Whether it's all of the rides or maybe just the Ferris wheel, this year's Georgia National Fair has attracted everyone from all corners of the state, and everyone I spoke with loves something different about it.
The Spaceship 3000. The swings.
But if you're like me and just like to walk around with a good snack in your hand, there's all types of food that you can choose from when you're watching your friends ride the roller coasters you chose not to get on.
This is the loaded tater tots. I got bacon, cheese, buffalo sauce, and ranch.
Fried pickles.
Okay, what do you like about the fried pickles?
They're good and they're very salty.
If this didn't convince you to make your way over to the fair, maybe the
Funnel cake. Funnel cake.
will. Walking off the calories at the fair, Riley Armant, WALB, your hometown news source. 250,000 people stood for equal rights, access to jobs, and voter rights for black people in the United States. A few of those people hailed from the small city of Albany, Georgia. But unknown to most, that small city had a larger impact on a movement that changed the nation. Before delivering the famous I Have a Dream speech, Martin Luther King Jr. heard about a movement that was going on in South Georgia. From there, the Good Life City became the training ground for the largest civil rights movement in history.
The real story is Albanians had begun a movement. What Dr. King brought to the movement was his celebrity status.
The Albany movement began in August of 1961 with desegregation and voting rights for black people being the overall goal. Two prominent organizations, the NAACP and the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, came together to take the first steps toward equal rights for black people in Albany. However, these efforts and Dr. King were met with pushback from both white and black people.
Banks were tied into the churches, where their loans were tied into the banks, so they thought about protesting, thought about doing something, they would get their bank loans defaulted on.
Still, the ones who were brave enough to make the change persisted. Albany activist Frank Wilson was a teenager when the movement began, so his participation was limited in the movement.
I was here in Albany. I was attending summer school at Monroe High School. So I really got an opportunity to go to some of the mass meetings, participate in some of the marches.
In December of 1961, MLK traveled to Georgia and spent 8 months learning about what works and what doesn't from Black people in Albany. One of the most important tools he picked up was music. Songs and the voices of the Freedom Singers would become the force to carry Black Americans through the entire civil rights movement.
I sang during the mass meetings, and my voice was heard, and I was chosen to become one of the original Freedom Singers.
The songs were meant to uplift spirits and help people continue to move forward in the literal face of their oppressors.
The songs of the civil rights movement played a very vital role. They kept us from being afraid.
Ruth's voice carried her across the United States, eventually landing her on the Washington Monument on August 28, 1963.
How does it feel to be a part of history and to know that you had a voice in changing the way society works?
I feel humble. I have so many different feelings about it, because I never knew that participating in the civil rights movement, singing the songs, would take me to places I've never gone.
Riley Armant, WALB, your hometown news source.